So, I got to talk to a lawyer, and they told me basically, Bobby, every lawyer on the planet knows who you are. In this case, it's just too dangerous for anybody to take. This is why I hate the criminal justice system, by the way. It is a stupid system that gets people killed. If you wanted a real justice system, some cases would have to be handled in private with excessive protection from the United States government. And I do mean excessive. Anyways, let's get into this. So, one of the things that bothers me is Blondie was talking about glory and just, in his brain, the church is the Heroes Guild from Fable. They just do all the evil things also. And he fame and glory, and it's just stupid. Because imagine if I call it the playpen. There's a psychology thing that came up years ago, and it was about basically narcissistic kids, and how you raise a narcissist is by completely controlling the environment and making them think they're acting on their own, and making them think they're in control of situations, and making them think they're smarter or better. And it's a toxic way to parent, for one, but it was called the playpen because the narcissist was never in any real danger. And when it's revealed to them later that they were never in any real danger, fear and anxiety wash over them. And I want to talk about that because these people at this church, the malignant narcissists, live in a playpen. And the playpen is they take over the local police. They start murdering and killing whoever they want. They don't do justice of any kind. They don't do accountability. And they believe they can do no wrong. And obviously, because they're told, they're groomed from kids, that you have the superior psychology. This is an extremely toxic parenting style. But, you gotta watch that video, Ryden versus Armstrong, to kind of understand where this shit came from, because Blondie was in the back of Papa John's, and basically the other two guys I was working with were talking about how cool I am. And he didn't like it, so he came back there and starts telling me, basically, he's gone out and ruined other people's lives, and he punches down on people. And I was like, now, did you actually, do this yourself, or did you have the backing of the hundreds of thousands of people at the church to make sure that you didn't get caught? And this shit came up with Gannon when he's punching down on Robert, because this is what these people do. They punch down. Okay? Because they're losers. And when you're a loser, you have to punch down. When I was a kid, and even in this situation, it doesn't change because it's just a factor in my life. I am always held at a disadvantage in almost every situation I come up across. And I think about it when I was being abused by Nick as a kid. I remember screaming and flailing and punching and punching and punching and then just getting the shit kicked out of me. And that is kind of what happened even with me in this church. It was me flailing and doing everything I could, and fucking bigger entity, you're gonna lose. Every time. Okay? But these losers punch down, okay? And there's nothing respectful about a man that punches down, but you gotta remember, these guys have no values, okay? They have no morals, they have no scruples, and this makes it so they can't ever be true heroes. And in their brain, being the victim makes you the hero. That's not a thing, okay? Just because you're a victim doesn't mean you're a good person. You can become a monster because of victim brain, alright? But anyways, Blondie starts telling me, and then I was like, were you back by the church? Were you back by the church? Were you back? And then he starts getting mad. He's, and I have the realization none of these people have actually been men. Even their glory stories are told from their perspective, where they don't view how many times the church had to bail them out. And this came up when I was president, because there was an army of dudes. This was just really funny one night. I said I wanted to get a better grasp on how everybody felt about the church, and I told them they could speak freely without the threat of death. And holy crap, dude, everybody complained that it was them taking it in the ass or being blamed. Even one of these guys was in prison, and it was because the malignant narcissist fucked up, and they're not allowed to tell him you messed up. They can't tell him you lied. They can't hold them to account. So you have to compensate for every time they mess up. So these guys ended up in prison. One of these guys got his wife killed. He got his kid killed, and they went through this entire, dude, everybody had a horrible story about how the malignant narcissist is reactionary, it lost its mind, it went and murdered somebody, it overreacted, it made up a lie, spun a narrative that didn't work. That was one of my favorites. One of the guys was like, it spun a narrative that didn't work. The narrative made no sense at all. And this guy explained to me that because the narrative made no sense at all, the entire situation was basically FUBAR. And they all had one thing. They were fucking exhausted of their shit. They just wanted to murder these people. They couldn't, because if you kill them, the church murders you. Which, sometimes you gotta make the tough call, bud. Oh, okay? Like, trust me. And their fear and paranoia drives these guys up the wall. And then the blue-eyed guys, the guys responsible for cleaning up the mess of these perpetual fuck-ups, and they are all funny as shit, because yes, I spoke to them. Every church leader is a perpetual fuck-up that is continuously bailed out by the church, no matter what. They are sloppy, they are messy, they are bad at what they do, but the church bails them out and lets them pretend to be like they didn't get in trouble for it. It is like having a 2-year-old that's willing to murder, but then is just a non-guided, non-precision instrument that just makes bad decisions. And obviously, the church trains them to have all these skills. It's all handed to them, so that you have this super highly trained 2-year-old that knows all the right things, but is also reactionary and emotionally unstable and doesn't make good decisions. Acts out of jealousy and embarrassment and revenge, obviously spite brain. And these dangerous creatures walk among us, and the church makes sure, hell or high water, your personal sacrifice, that you're not going to hold them to account. And it's the playpen. And I brought that up to Blondie's attention, and I was like, I told him I didn't live in a playpen, and I remember this fucking stare of hatred he had. Because it was the realization he's lived in a playpen his entire life. Yeah. And there is something, I don't know how exactly you would, it involves perspective taking, something they don't have. But your entire reality would be, to some extent, subjective if you just lived in a playpen, because the entire church could just lie for you. Think about it like that. And that was my argument with him, and I was like, it's fictional. I was like, you're literally, like, the murders are real, the deaths are real, the pain you cause is real, the misery you cause is real, but it's a playpen, because you're never in any real danger. And I was like, and I told him, I was like, it's a psychological fact. Poor black boys want to be rich white boys, and rich white boys want to be poor black boys. And it's because of the glory of the street. And even the other dudes I was talking to were like, oh, you grew up in the ghetto, you're a tough guy, all this shit. There was envy for me. And Blondie didn't get envy, because they all grew up in the same synthetic environment. They're protected no matter what. So you're not risking anything for the biscuit. You might as well be living in a simulation. And they cheat at everything. So not only are you in a simulation, you're in a simulation where you play like you're in a playpen where you cheat at everything and you just threaten everybody and you get what you want no matter what, even though it's already rigged for you. And I remember this came up, Blondie in the court case where he confessed to killing Pastel Bunny. He shot her, literally said that, and then he walked in the case. They didn't put him in jail, and he explained to me it's his religion. So he can murder people, and I was like, religion isn't a legal excuse. You can't walk into a court and go, it's my religion. Okay. But he did. And that's because the court cases they're all in, which even the contract I'm under, they're all rigged. They're all rigged by the church in their favor. So no matter what you do, you can't hold these people to account for their actions. And accountability is a big chunk of masculinity. So they are boys, and they will forever be boys. Violent, stupid boys. Yeah. I just wanted to talk about that. The playpen's an actual serious thing, and it talks about how Narcissists develop, and when they see the outside world, when they see there's a world beyond them, one they can't control, rage, anger, vitriol, hatred. But yeah, yeah, just that. I don't know. I just remembered this. It cheered me up a bit. Maybe it'll cheer you up.